So you want to lose weight, but you absolutely hate the idea of tracking calories. I've heard it so many times from my clients, and I absolutely understand you and I don't blame you. Because life is already so busy and every day we have to do so many things that looking at how many calories there are in one slice of bread sounds pretty exhausting. However, I would be lying to you if I didn't tell you that tracking calories, weighing your food, and calculating everything precisely will get you to the results a lot faster and a lot more likely. But for today, we're going to forget about tracking calories because I'm going to share with you 3 methods of how you can create calorie deficit and lose weight without tracking your calories. I'm also going to share with you at the end of the video a tip on how you can actually check whether any of those methods personally works for you or not. The first method, we're not going to calculate calories, but we're actually going to do a food diary for 7 days. So for that, you're going to remember every single thing that you eat or drink, excluding water. And at the end of every day, you're going to take a notebook and you're going to write every single thing that you've had that day. And if you feel that you might be forgetting throughout the day because you sometimes do things on autopilot, I would recommend use the notes on your phone. But still, at the end of the day, I recommend you to put it on paper. So one very important quick note, do not try and get on a diet during this week. You don't want to be on vacation. You want to be on a regular schedule. So once you wrote down all the 7 days of eating, you want to look through it one day and analyze it and try to find some patterns. Maybe it's the wine and cheese before you have your dinner. Maybe it's the chips and popcorn while you watch on Netflix before you go to bed. Whatever your patterns are that you can identify that you could let go of, this is what you want to scratch over and try to do better next week. And you might even question me on this and tell me, well, this sounds like I already know what I'm doing wrong. I already eat this and that. But a lot of the times we do things on autopilot and we eat things on autopilot. We don't even notice when we put cookies in our mouth. And that is why it's so important to write everything down so you have it right in front of you. And a week span of time is very important as well, because one day isn't going to give you the accuracy because every day is different. But in a week, you could actually see the pattern and you can actually see where you're going off the tracks. Now, the second method does not require any writing, but in my personal opinion is a little bit more difficult. And that is because what you're going to do is try to drastically reduce your sugar intake. If you don't have a particular sweet tooth, you might not benefit from this method, but I find that a lot of my clients or even my friends who say they don't eat a lot of sweets, they still end up consuming a lot of sugar through sweet drinks. I find this method is less meticulous because you don't have to write anything down. All you have to do is really remove the sugar. But yes, it is easier said than done. In the beginning, you might feel withdrawal effects, like first 3-4 days are going to be tough. You're going to be thinking about sugar. You're going to want cakes. All you're going to see as you go in the grocery store is something sweet. But that only lasts for about 3 to 5 days, depends on the person. And then slowly but surely, you're going to stop thinking about it so much. You're still going to want some sugar in your life. I'm not saying completely remove it because that is impossible. We need it for our body as well. But reducing it drastically for the most people will create calorie deficit, and calorie deficit equals weight loss. And there comes the method number 3, and that is personally my favorite method. This is what I have been doing when I was trying to lose weight after pregnancy, and I believe this is the most convenient method. However, some people don't like it because everyone's lifestyle is very different. So here's what you're going to do in this third method. You're going to just change one meal of your day, and that meal is not going to be just any meal. It's going to be your dinner. You're still going to eat the dinner. You're not going to skip it, but you're not going to have any carbohydrates or starches for your dinner. Instead, what you're going to focus on is eating mainly lean type of protein, for example, chicken breast or tuna or some fish. And if you're cooking it, it has to be very lightly oiled. And for vegetables, you're going to try to use green vegetables. You can do raw or steam style. And if you're sauteing them, it has to be in a minimal oil. Also for salads, it has to be minimal dressing, no fruit, basically avoiding any carbohydrates just for your dinner. Like I said, some people do not prefer that method just because they like to go out to dinner and they like to have social outings. And yes, you can still maintain it while you're going out to dinner, but it isn't as much fun as you imagine. You're going out to dinner, you're going to have your chips and salsa. You just have to stick to vegetables and chicken or vegetables and steak, and some people don't like it. But for me personally, I believe it is the easiest way to maintain because you still get to keep your sweets throughout the day or here and there. You still have your cheat meal. You do not have to remove an entire group of foods out of your diet. You do not really have to calculate your calories. And most of the time, by doing what I was just suggesting you to do, you will create a calorie deficit if it's going to be on a consistent basis. But now you're going to ask me, well, how do I know that any of these methods is actually working for me or not? And technically, there are so many different ways of checking on how something works for you or not. You can think about your clothes fitting, you can think about measurements, but for me, as a personal trainer and a nutrition coach, I will tell you the easiest way to find in a shortest amount of time precisely whether the method of diet is working for you or not is to check your weight. What you want to do before you start any changes to your diet, you want to say start on a Monday, get on a scale early in the morning before you had anything to eat or drink, and this is going to be the most accurate way that you have. Then you start implementing the changes that you have decided to implement, and you're going to stick with this precisely for 1 week. The next Monday, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to check your weight, and you're going to see, has there been any difference? The good difference for the beginners, if say you're 160 pounds, 170 pounds, will be 1 pound a week. Now, of course, if you are much heavier, sometimes weight goes even faster. But if you haven't seen any progress on this particular method, chances are you haven't created any calorie deficit. And you can argue with me and say that, yes, there is a variation because I started going to the gym, so my muscles are getting heavier. Guess what? It isn't the truth. Muscles cannot get heavier that quick. And of course, weight can vary from week to week, but what we want to try to check if the changes that you've implemented for 1 week has resulted in any weight movements at all. You're not going to see 1 pound of difference on your pants. You're not going to see a pound of difference on your measurement tape, but you will see a pound of difference on a scale. And that is only going to tell you whether you're moving in the right direction or not. Now, if you are making sacrifices throughout the week, not eating what you like to eat, and there are no changes, well, then maybe this method isn't working for you. I hope you guys liked this video and found it helpful, and I'm hoping that you're going to try these tips and let me know whether any of these methods working for you. If you like this kind of video, subscribe to my channel for more health and fitness related content, and I'm going to see you in my next video.